getting it, fella. Look here.
Stand by.
One for C-Lab, two for Draw Ego, three for Wolverine to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Broadcasting live from inside the power band, this is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, Kevin, along with my super friends. Jar-Ego.
Hello.
And folks, this week we have a special guest, Chad.
What's up?
And he's giving me the finger. Welcome to the show, folks. This week we're talking about the 1994 surprise hit. I wouldn't call this a classic, but it's definitely got some pedigree. And that would be Stargate, starring Kurt Willis, James Spader, and Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's get into it.
Old war criminal Netanyahu. Very topical. I like it.
Well, I don't know. Eric Avari, dude, he's been in so much stuff, but like every time I see him, I'm like, it's not that he looks like Netanyahu. Yeah. In my mind, that's what Netanyahu looks like. Like the first time I heard like the name. Well, it's more like it's like a made up thing.
He should look like him.
Yes. So like the first time I heard Benjamin Netanyahu, the first thing that popped into my mind was Eric Avari's face.
Was Yahoo serious? And the second thing was this guy.
Yahoo serious. Oh my God. So Benjamin Netanyahu is in this movie.
There you go.
He's the leader of the tribe of ancient Egyptian people.
I love it.
And French, the answer, of course, is onions.
Oh my God.
Dude, I completely forgot he was in this movie, dude. French Stewart.
In his debut film. Yeah, I forgot he was too.
This guy's such a fucking weirdo, and I love him.
Yeah, he's definitely weird, dude. I think, I don't know. When I saw him, I was like, huh? And I was like,
pretty
you're
much
not really the soldierin' type, bro. But
he has a mean, squinty eye stare, though.
He does, dude. And he gives Spader freaking kicks his books everywhere. And he's like, fucking nerd.
I love how he's a bully. It's like the least bullyish person ever. That's great.
Okay, so high level. Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Good lad.
In the green room, Kev was mentioning that this is like the proto-ancient aliens kind of idea. And for me, this definitely was that. Like, I was 15 or 14 when this came out. Definitely, don't think I saw it in the theater. Maybe I did. I don't fucking know. Probably not, because I lived on an island that didn't have fucking great movie theaters at the time.
Movies? Yeah, there you go.
And absolutely loved this movie when I was a kid. Like, I am very confused, honestly, by the amount of, like, weird opinions about this movie that I kind of, like, don't believe that. I feel like some randos didn't like it. Like, Siskel and Ebert, like, one of those guys was like, this movie fucking blows dicks. I think that was a quote, actually. And everyone just kind of didn't like the movie. I thought it was a fucking great movie. Like, it's an interesting idea. Like, the plot's not earth-shattering. You know, the script isn't earth-shattering, but, like, it's like, oh, cool, that's cool. I'm into it. Oh, pew-pew lasers and shit.
Yeah.
And
sadly,
I very much enjoyed the rewatch. Like, it's a solid sci-fi flick that I wanted to say should have spawned a huge amount of other stuff, and then it turns out it did. I think I watched the show a bit, but I definitely didn't watch all 72 seasons of it, so I liked it. I dig it.
Benny, what do you got, man?
Yeah, I already forgot. No, I mean, I remarkably have very little to say about it. I watched it Wednesday, and I'm already like, I don't know, like anything I had a note about in my head has just disappeared, which kind of fits. I was sort of like, meh, you know, like it's all right.
Did you dig it back in the day at all, or not really? Didn't hit anything back in the day?
I mean, you know, I feel like there wasn't a shit ton of sci-fi at that point, and there was sort of, you know, scratching the itch to get something, but at the same time, it just wasn't like necessarily my cup of tea. Not that it's bad. It just, I don't know. It just never made a like giant impression on me.
Word.
I like it.
I guess I somewhat enjoyed this watching of it.
It's fun. Like it's not. It's the concept is cool. I'm like Chad. I liked this movie when I saw it back in the day, and I thought the concept was fantastic, man. Especially for science fiction, I was like, this is cool and different, dude. You know, because this is like 94. You're talking like all the Star Wars movies have come out, a lot of Star Treks come out, blah blah blah. We haven't gotten into the Matrix or anything like that yet. So I conceptually, I thought it was really, really cool. And it's just kind of like it's Dean Devlin and Emmerich, dude. They make like popcorn movies in the classic sense. You know what I mean? Like I always kind of had this kind of disdain, I think, for these guys. But like the real what of it, I think, is that they kind of make movies that are like old movies, like, big sweeping kind of productions, that are kind of thin on substance, man, but they're fun and they're kind of exciting, It's like
and that's been beaten to death
Day
these days, so maybe that's why it's a little bit less
impactful. Yeah, and maybe that is it. I think Independence Day is kind of worse than this, sort of.
But I love it still. Like, I really like that movie, even though it's a shit heap of a movie.
I know. It's weird. It is a shit heap of a movie, but I definitely like this movie better. I definitely like the story and the concept better. So, I don't know. Like, yeah, I loved it, like, back when I saw it in the theater. I enjoyed it a lot. I totally forgot that this movie spawned a absolutely insane amount of other shows. Like, this was like the launch of a major media franchise, whether you want to admit it or not, because SG-1 did 10 seasons, Atlantis did 5, I think, and then Stargate Universe, and then there were like movies on TV. And like I started reading about that stuff today. Yeah, books on tape, exactly. I started reading about that today, and I was blown away by it. So, and as I was reading about the extended sort of franchise, I was like, wow, there's a lot here. Like, in terms of, even if you think this movie is like kind of vanilla, it's like these other guys picked up the mantle and did the show, and then they really kind of like dove deep into the lore and like created a lot of like or did a lot of world building, rather. And I think that's pretty cool. So
sure. Around this time, my recollection is there was kind of similar stuff. I never really got into the Quantum Leap stuff, but like when I was probably right around this time, actually, it was that show Sliders. So there was a bit of wormhole-y, time teleporty bullshit going on. I really pre-Expanse, obviously, which is much more recent. And I don't know,
and much better.
What else was there of like wormhole-y shit? But I don't know. I just really liked the wormhole-y shit. It was like wormhole-y Egyptian stuff. I was into it. I was like, yeah, man, I'm into it. Let's do it.
Precisely the opposite.
Yeah, okay.
What, you don't like wormhole stuff?
I just never found it very interesting.
Is it the sci-fi version of 7 years later text coming on the movie screen or something? A time jump. It's literally a time jump or whatever. Yeah, I get it.
I don't know that I would agree with that, but it's whatever.
Yeah, it's totally reasonable.
Sliders, Earth 2, Farscape, Lex,
for a little while.
Babylon 5. I'm just like, I just pulled up a thing here. Voyager was on. Outer Limits. Oh, dude.
You're just naming sci-fi shows, though, not wormhole sci-fi.
No, I'm just talking about, like, I thought he was asking what was this up against in the 90s in the sci-fi space.
Yeah, no, I was more coming at it from the, like, Sliders is kind of
Farscape.
Kind of timey or wormhole-y and all that kind of stuff.
Well, don't forget Sequest, DSV.
DSV, dude. I loved Sequest. Jonathan Brandis, poor bastard.
I mean, Quantum Leap was something sort of like that, right?
Yeah, I don't remember
a little
it overly,
bit, but that was more like really reincarnating in another body, dude. Kind of like he he would go to a different place and time, but he would inhabit the body of a person. So when he looked in the mirror, it would be like a different actor, right? He wouldn't, but then you would just see Scott Bakula as he went through the episode from the viewer's standpoint.
Yeah. No, I mean, I watched it. I'm just trying to remember like what the mechanism was.
No, that was it.
And it's but I mean, it's striking me as something similar to, like, in other words, you're not going from point to point in like a spaceship.
No, you're not. But it's definitely not.
You're sort of traveling via the ether somehow.
Correct, the ether. It's not wormholey at all. So the answer to your question, Chad, it's like this and Sliders is pretty much it.
Yeah, it
wormholey.
It hit me at the right age, I think, too. Being 14 or whatever, I wasn't into overly complicated stuff. It was like, are there boobs? I'm in. Is there pew-pew lasers? I'm in. Like. Sci-fi? All right. So, yeah, I kind of get that this kind of subgenre might not scratch the itch. I mean, I can't even remember. Was The Expanse wormhole shit kind of meh for you, or less so because it was not hard, but you know what I mean? I can't recall. Were you?
What do you mean, the rings?
Middling on that, Benny?
So, the inclusion of a thing doesn't. I wouldn't say The Expanse is a wormhole show.
It kind of is. Like I guess, yeah. I mean, it's a pretty key piece of it, but is it because it's not like the sole focus of it? Is it a leg of the stool kind of thing?
You still got to get in a ship and go somewhere. Like you can't just like step through the fucking thing.
Yeah.
And also, it doesn't even become a thing until like the last two seasons.
Sure.
So,
exactly right.
Like it's not, in my opinion, anywhere near as pivotal as it is to this show.
That's the whole fucking point of this one.
To this movie.
No, the cool thing about The Expanse, in my opinion, was that it was kind of like the focus was on like the characters. That's
cultural,
what makes it great.
Political stuff.
Yeah, man. No, just like talking about people and society, and like they did right on the dialogue. And despite the fact that I don't like it, the fact that they created that whole belter language, like all that stuff is great. Great world building in that show, and focusing focusing on I knew you were gonna do it. I don't know why I did that. you
use pizza. Have some space pizza.
Oh boy, now you sound like you're working at the Muse, dude.
Make some red, keep
That's
on.
Oh boy, EBD 260, the return of the Muse.
Love it.
So yeah, I think that the focus on the characters in The Expanse is what really made that special. But Ben's 1,000% correct that the rings didn't come into later, and it's like, I don't know, it's not as wormholey as like Contact or this or Sliders, because
Contact,
like those rings are absolutely gargantuan, man. Because like when we finally get to see like the ships juxtaposed against the sizes of the rings, man, and like I mean the rings are absolutely gargantuan, dude. Like in the sense like you look at them and you feel like you could fit a whole planet through it. You know what I mean? It's so damn big. Yeah, and then so and again, like Ben said, it's not pivotal to the story, dude.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it's
I mean, it's that's kind of the whole point.
It's pivotal to the story, but it's not like the main thing.
No, it's not exactly.
What is the main thing?
And it's also not
pivotal
like,
to this story,
like,
or The Expanse.
No, we're talking about The Expanse.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Cool. To The Expanse.
Finish your thought, Ben.
Yep.
Whereas like this is like the only way you're getting somewhere else is through one of the rings, and then it's just dumping you out to some place that's just like here.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's true.
With some different animals and shit. It's like, oh, wow. What a journey.
He stole one of the fucking Muppets from Dark Crystal and stuck it on a pony.
That's exactly what they did.
That was like the most alien thing about the entire trip, was that like horse dressed up like a
Skeksis or whatever they were called.
Well, yeah, but it was that and the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu was the leader of the people in that world.
He was a good leader, man.
Most alien.
He loved it. He loved his Fifth Avenue bar. Oh, Bunny way.
Bunny way.
Bunny way.
And Spader,
I kept calling him Bunny Way.
Banana.
yeah, Spader's like, oh, let me Fifth Avenue bar. Can I draw a picture of it in the sand? No.
No. Oh, they don't read or write.
Now you must have sex with the village virgin.
Right?
Dude, I love I love it's like the most haggard fucking Mad Max looking people, and then there's like one super hot chick comes out of nowhere and is like, oh
my God. I know, right? I know.
It's so tropey, dude. I love it.
I know. I don't remember. The only things I hadn't seen this in so long. The only things I remembered about the movie were the chevrons locking, because that was a joke in Archer. They were talking about something ridiculous. And he's like, hang on, I got to go. I got to get back to Earth before the Stargate closes. And she's like, wait. And he goes, wait, the chevrons are locking.
Yeah.
I love how much you love Archer. It's my favorite.
I love it. So good. And the other thing was the chick and her name. For some reason, because they spent all this time trying to, like, with him figuring out how to pronounce her name. So I only remembered the chevrons and Shauri.
Oh my God. I just imagine
Super weird.
when you say things like the only thing I remember about this movie is A and B. I imagine you cleaning up your stash at the mirror and being like, Shauri. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just imagine you just rattling off random shit you remember.
It's pretty much that what it is.
Or you're like, yeah, I was hanging out with my kids and they were eating Cocoa Pops, and I was like, Shauri. And now they say it all the time.
That definitely happens. But they go, what is that, Dad? What are you doing?
Oh, it's a female slave,
Shauri. Reminds me
Egyptian
of the way.
slave from 1994 Stargate, kids.
And then now my daughter is kind of caught on, and she goes, like, half the time she goes, Dad, what is that from?
I love it.
It's funny. Anyway,
Reminds me of the way Bobby Fingers says, like, there's like that chick that does like the
Yes.
cat work
What's
stuff.
her name, dude?
That he's always
Esmeralda
trying to like,
Villalobos
get to
or
do stuff,
whatever.
and he calls her Laura. Her name is Laura, but he calls her Laura.
I love that little sub thread, dude.
it's good. Anyway, what
We were on the Village Virgin for a moment. I don't know. I guess like complimenting the movie at a medium pace, the medium level
Oh gosh,
is like it. I enjoyed. I didn't remember fucking anything of the movie other than aliens and
Yep.
wormholes. It's been fucking
and chevrons.
so goddamn long.
Totally. Right?
I remember the chevron shit when it happened, but I didn't remember it before. And like, it just gets to it, like it's in Egypt, and then it, jumps to him in front of, Indiana Jonesing in front of his colleagues, and they're all being like, "You're a fucking loser," and then he's all of a sudden in the fucking base and unlocks the shit, and bada bing, bada boom. Like it's got I enjoyed that it kind of like got to it quickly, but not too quickly. It wasn't like super rush. I just had a good pace, and then it kind of slows down a bit, when he hangs out with the village and shit. So I don't know. I kind of enjoyed kind of the structure of it a bit, and then it does kind of fall apart a bit and get very, I don't know, Seven Samurai, take the village, Santa Poco, everyone dresses up like an amigo and takes on the fucking bad guys kind of thing.
yeah.
But
very
every
much
movie
so.
kind of had that going on, or a lot of movies had that going on at the time. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most egregious example of it, and it was less common then.
So I don't know. Like I kind of I was into it. Like I think you were saying in the beginning in your high level, Kev, about our recent conversations about just enjoying a romp for what it is. It's very rompy, and like you said, Emmerich
Totally
and Devlin make popcorny movies, and this is kind of the least popcorny of their movies, but it's still an awful lot of fucking popcorn.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I don't know.
It's like this Independence Day and Godzilla. That's it.
Yeah.
When you look at all three, this is the least popcorny, and those other two movies are like big, sweeping, like movies. You know?
I hadn't considered what you were saying, Benny, about them like going through a Stargate to like the fucking sand dunes in the next town over. Like it was really kind of a nothing burger. Like, oh wow, it's another pyramid in a place that looks just like Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is
it's disappointing.
I didn't think about it until you said it, and when you said it a minute ago, I was like, "Oh, yeah, he's right." Oh, that kind of bumps me out. Like I hadn't considered it. It's just such a nothing.
Well, yeah, but didn't you? But when you get the lore of it, as he starts to like discover the language and understand the language and figure it out,
I get it.
you know what I mean? Then it kind of unfolds, and I think it gets much cooler.
Then Ra shows up and parks his pyramid on a
pyramid.
I like that. It's like it's the only way we can park our pyramid is to make a giant stone pyramid.
What?
It's great. It's great. It makes total sense, Benny.
Yes, absolutely.
But like I'm being very forgiving of the movie because I enjoy the movie, but like a cynical person would just be like, yeah, and you just made up a whole bunch of fucking lore to save money and just go to the desert, Be like, yes, the aliens terraformed the planet to look exactly like our planet. It's like, okay. But whatever, man. I mean, I just thought it was fucking Ra is like some old alien, gray-faced alien ET looking motherfucker who's dying, and he finds a way to be immortal, and then he just like hangs out in his office all day with people that are like, he just sits there. Do you want to play some more space chess? It's like
this is bringing back now my memories are like coming back to the forefront
dude,
here.
Let's go.
He hangs out in his office with a bunch of children that are showing bizarrely copious amounts of science.
Yeah.
Like just unnecessary. Like I was like, I need an adult. This is fucked up. Like,
yeah, it was a bit weird. I mean, there was a quote from Emmerich saying that they did that on purpose.
Why was he surrounded by children with like loincloths?
I read that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
There was a quote from Emmerich saying he had the
purpose.
children thing there to make the audience uncomfortable, and fucking bada bing did he succeed.
Yeah, I'd say so.
It's weird, but yeah, I picture him kind of like with one of those long cigarette holders in his space office.
Cruella DeVille style.
In between adventures, right? Playing space chess or whatever.
Well, I just think it's funny, like,
bring me a space bourbon.
Totally, dude. There's definitely a fucking a sketch, a Seth MacFarlane sketch about how fucking bored Ra would be. Like, he's like, I'm immortal, but I just fucking sit here playing space chess all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, we don't.
I would almost be amazed if there wasn't a little like Peter Griffin dream sequence about stuff.
Oh, it's gotta be, dude. It's gotta be.
It's just it's funny, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's gotta be something like that.
Cheese.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the concept is really cool, man. The idea that there could be interconnected Stargates, like I like how they went deep enough in the right parts and they slowed the pacing down in the right parts. To just go back to one of your comments, Chad, like I do like how they get right into it. And movies can either fall on their face doing that in the beginning because like you jump right in, dude, and you're not jumping in on the right part and on the right thing and giving the right information. That's like the thing falls on its face because people are like, what in the hell is going on here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you get a bit of whiplash.
Now, you take a movie like Terminator, you're not supposed to know what's going on in the beginning. The whole point is that you don't know what's going on in the beginning until we get to the until the nightclub, right? But what movies can either fall on their face doing that or they can do it well. And this movie did it well, dude. Like you get right into it and it's like, okay, we know there's speculation about, extraterrestrials and aliens because of what Spader's going through, and then it's like bam, we whisk away and we're right into it. And I think it works well, and they slow it down in the right spots and they speed it up in the right spots
until it turns into the last act Seven Samurai shit, which is also fine, but like yeah,
it's fine, but like that's a total like that's what their movies are like. It's like, oh, now the oppressed people are free.
Yeah. Yeah, we won.
Let's run towards the camera. Everybody run towards the camera.
I'm uploading a virus into the mothership. Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
They literally did upload a virus into the mothership on this one and Independence Day, teleporting the bomb and then, blowing up.
Yes.
Pretty much it's, pretty much the same movie, really.
It's very similar. Now that I think about it. Although I'm not like a giant fan of Independence Day.
Yeah, I mean that's fair enough. Ugh. Again, I was young at the time, so like I think our age gaps would be like similar Where are we like, dude, fucking Independence Day? And you guys are like, what the fuck? This is stupid. You know, like I was 15 or some shit, you know?
When did Independence Day come out?
90.
When I was in my 20s.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Thank
I was
you.
not in my 20s. I would say
Dialogue in that
96,
movie
97.
is So 96.
I remember hanging out at Craig Edmonds' apartment and him going on about it.
About
And I didn't see it until it came out on
Ah,
VHS.
right.
But
was he going on in a good way or a bad way?
yeah, he was going on in a good way.
Yeah, I was 16 when
Yeah,
it came
the-
out.
the-
You just like we've said, like I've said multiple times, I was very dumb when I was 16, and so like I was Johnny Utah when I was 16, bro. Young, dumb, and full of cum.
Oh
Like,
boy. Yep.
just
I don't know how these two
Loved it.
guys were able to get.
Take the skin off my chicken, sir.
I love these things. So I don't understand how these two guys got the caliber of actors they got to do Independence Day. And I don't understand how they got them to say some of the dialogue. that's in
These are the
movie.
Marvel
I think-
heavily studio movies of the time, man.
I think that's what their superpower is getting great actors to do movies and say crappy dialogue. Because there is some amazing actors in Independence Day, and there is some dreadful dialogue in it.
Fucking A.
And more of it's like the best of Jeff Goldblum's weird scientist roles too.
Bill Pullman's presidential
Probably
speech,
the best
dude.
part about the movie.
Yeah,
What's that, Ben?
sure. It is one of the best parts.
Is what Jeff Goldblum?
Goldblum, dude. I mean,
Yes, that's what I was referring to. Yeah.
he's great.
Him and Will Smith, what a combination! It's like Bad Boys in Space. Hey,
What's the thing you always go on about with Will Smith?
there's a lot of things I go on about Will Smith. Oh, After Earth, don't bring your kid to work.
No.
Ooh.
The Men in Black one. We're like, sir, yes, sir, whatever.
Oh, that the best of the best of the best.
Yeah, that
with
one.
honors.
I don't know, man.
That was
I'm
funny.
just, like, this isn't an Independence Day show, but like, you could make a very, very strong argument that it's not Will Smith that carries that one. It's Goldblum.
Definitely, I would make that argument.
Yes.
Yes. But
But you know, Spader has some
Yes.
Goldblum. He's not Goldblum, obviously, but his character is similar to the dweeby scientist that ends up actually making
Yes.
shit happen.
It's the same.
No,
It's very
he's
much,
the Dr. Bleep Bloop.
Basically.
He's
Yes,
Dr.
he is the Dr. Bleep Bloop in this movie. And I think Spader is awesome, man. I have
I love
loved
him,
him since the 80s, dude, and he is great in this movie. And I really like just watching him in this kind of movie that's not like a quote-unquote serious thing.
Hmm.
To see the choices that he makes and what he does and just the little nuances and bits that he puts into this character, man, and the amount of effort he put into it, I was watching and I was like, man, this guy is truly one of the greatest, dude, because
He's
it's so good, dude.
No doubt.
You know? And this is just like a big sort of sweeping epic popcorn movie, you know? And he dialed it in, dude.
But he and Kurt
Kurt
Willis
Russell
are just
on the
great.
other-
They're just great. A great pairing.
How so?
I just think that like Kurt Willis. I mean, I don't think of Kurt Willis as the hard-assed, broken military man. Like this is kind of similar to the Ed Harris, The Rock, where like he did a good job, but it's so kind of not how I remember Kurt Willis.
Yeah.
But he did a solid job of being like kind of hard-assed and kind of broken. And Spader as the Dr. Bleep Bloop, like Dr. Bleep Bloop is like, I am such a fucking nerd. I figured it out. This is exciting. Like everyone's like, what the fuck, man? And he's like, it's the hieroglyph of it. And the guy's like reading horoscopes and it's Orion's belt, Like he's so excitable and his giant fucking maps and shit. Like
That's the way scientists are, though.
I know, but like there was like I think
yeah,
it crystallized for me when he was drawing in the sand and Benjamin Netanyahu's like, we don't do that here, and then they bring him out and they like give him the girl and they wrap him in a cloak and they kind of drag him off, and in that moment I was like, it's C-3PO, like he's C-3PO in this movie. He's
totally, man.
He's C-3PO, and he kind of he knows 7 million languages, and he figures it out. And Kurt Willis is kind of Han Solo, but kind of also like not. Like I don't know. I just think that they're a good pairing in this. It's like a fucking a good wine and a good cheese to be a douchebag about it.
Yeah,
like they don't work, but they shouldn't work, but they do.
Do you want to respond to that first, Ben?
I kept thinking every time I saw Kurt Russell was Soldier like right before this or like right after this or something? Because like he's basically exactly the same character. He has the same haircut. Like it's just.
And you are not the first person to say that. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, like which came first, and like what was the understudy for the other? Like, and I think if this came first, I think Soldier was like in the waiter in the 90s. But
let's take a peek.
Yeah, that's what I thought about him in this movie.
Yeah, I did too.
It's kind of a undercooked. Yeah, 98 was Soldier. So
okay, so undercooked, underutilized,
subtle,
super subtle, dude. Well, you see the nuances in the performance.
Subtle. I mean, he does break a little bit in this. He kind of gets like
softens up a bit.
He kind of gets a little bit softened up by all the goofy kids.
Yep. Chaka and the other kid,
etc.
Yeah, Rufio and the Lost Boys.
It's not quite the same, but
Chaka from Land of the Lost, totally.
What? Fucking
that one kid was like Chaka from Land
Darmak
of the Lost.
And Jalad at fucking Tanagra? Like
well, yeah, Chaka when the walls fell.
Chaka when the walls fell?
Exactly, but Chaka originally
Denba, his arms open wide.
Exactly, but before Chaka was with Denba with his arms open wide, Chaka was the sort of Sasquatch kid character that they found in Land of the Lost, bro, from way back in the day. Or the Will Smith,
Chaka,
or the Will
when
Ferrell.
The walls fell.
So, here's my take on Kurt Willis in this movie. Just super darkety darkness, dark. Colonel Dark is what his character's name should have been, dude. I felt like every scene he's like, somebody's walking into a room and he's sitting there smoking a cigarette, and they're like, "Hey, Colonel." He's like, "Oh, sorry, I was just thinking about killing myself." Yeah, okay, that sounds good. I'm going to stay here and keep smoking. Like, that's what he was like in so much of the movie, dude, Actually, I can't do that. I got to go set up the nuclear bomb because I'm going to stay behind and kill him.
I can't do that because I want to go shoot myself.
Yeah, it was really, really dark, dude.
That was the most American plot thread, too. What's wrong with him? This kid found his gun and shot himself. It's like, that's just the most American fucking thing in the world. I love it, dude.
Mm-hmm. Right? It is.
Oh, poor
and I think, like, so if you're saying, like, they're a good pairing in the sense that, like, they're total opposites and it works that way, yes, definitely. And I think it works, too, because, like, the actors are great actors. You know what I mean? Like, those guys are, I think Kurt Willis is probably a little bit older than Spader, man, but they've been around for the same time period, man, and doing work, and like they're so excellent. You know what I mean? So yeah, there was a cool little dynamic there, despite Kurt Willis's sort of darkety dark. The performance is kind of the leftover from Soldier situation, or the precursor to Soldier, as the case may be. Yeah,
the precursor. Apparently.
I do think one of the best moments of Kurt Willis's character in this movie is the opening where he isn't even in the scene. They just come in and are like, Mrs. Soldier Lady, and she's like, yeah. Is your husband here? Yeah. Can we talk to him? I don't know. You can try.
You can try.
It's so funny, dude.
I love his pep speech for the boys before they step through the fucking the Stargate. He's just like, "You got anything to say?" No,
he's very rah.
All right, let's go. Yeah, no, he's a man of few words. He's a man of few words for sure. That was a great pep speech. And again, dude, he's like, he's so super dark when he's saying it, and that all he's thinking about is putting a gun to his head, and he doesn't care about anything and anything that happens. He certainly doesn't care about dying either. So it just makes it even worse. If you have anything to say, say it.
I love the like, if we're gonna pick this apart a bit, I really like the plot where it's like a bunch of military heads in a room somewhere, a bunch of generals sitting around a fucking, in a skiff, being like, so if this succeeds, we should probably blow everything the fuck up. And they're like, hey, didn't Tom's kid like kill himself? Maybe he'll like go and kill himself for us. And like, yeah, let's call him up. Let's get him involved. It's just like,
Let's
okay,
call him up.
There's a fucking plan. It's super funny, man.
In the military, like their bag is always, well, we're gonna have to blow it up.
Definitely.
It's like we couldn't just leave well enough alone.
What was there was a dude in where was it? I want to say it's Iraq or something. I saw something a few years ago. I think it was during Trump's administration where some general somewhere decided to drop the mother of all bombs, like the largest bomb ever made, MOAB. It's the largest non-nuclear weapon, and you need to ask permission to drop it for pretty good reason. And he just dropped it anyway. He just like went and fucking dropped it somewhere. It's like, okay, man, like obviously they have serious explosion boners in the military. Like, I just love that the guy just orders the largest non-nuclear weapon to be dropped just because he can, and he's like, I'll just get written up for it later. Fucking whatever.
Yeah. Seriously, man.
They love their guns.
Sure.
I think that it's very strange love, though, like
war crimes are fun.
Given enough, exactly. Given enough opportunity, is I think all of the decision making in the theater of war kind of devolves into that space, and it's true enough, it seems.
Yeah,
but they do love blowing shit up. I liked how just
sure
totally stone faced the soldiers were, especially with Spader trying to like explain things. They're all just sitting there with their regulation mustaches, just like fucking go on then.
Yeah, but they were. I found them to be like I think nowadays, obviously, it's so obvious. Like all these guys go through some sort of boot camp or training with a specialist of some kind, advisor, whatever, in these movies. But like this was not one of those movies.
Sure.
And these guys were the most unsoldiery soldiers.
Yeah.
Like I even wrote in my notes, these guys are a bunch of doofs, dude. And even John Deal, dude, who's like a really good actor, man. He's been in everything, Miami Vice and Stripes and like a zillion things, man. So like, I don't know. I found it a little, and then you got French Stewart kicking James Spader's books in the sand. Fucking nerd.
Yeah.
Get out of here. I was like, all right, whatever, dude. It was
not particularly believable.
Yeah,
No,
it was a
but I
little
like it
a little
anyways.
lame, dude. And then you had the kind of sort of Dr. Bleep Bloop guy who was scanning all the rocks and shit soldier. He was all right, but like the rest of them were just kind of doofy, dude.
The scanning of the rocks is my favorite. He's onto something here, sir. This is an unknown crystal that can be changed into a device that'll make a bomb. You're like, okay, mate. All right.
He is correct, sir. I scanned the rocks outside before. It's the same mineral.
The prop master went and bought some fucking rock candy and broke it off the stick, sir.
There you go.
You got the minerals.
Yeah. So yeah, I found the soldiers to be a little like, they all just kind of didn't really seem to know what they were doing either in terms of soldiering.
And the scientists were the same.
They were like annoyed. Yeah, they were like a noise. Oh, well, just point my gun somewhere.
Totally.
Where'd that come from? And then it's like those guys, the guards come down with
Their American Gladiator pugil sticks.
Yeah, raw, and like they get their asses kicked.
They do.
Kicked.
They get Q-tipped like
American.
a motherfucker.
Yeah, they did. How about Jay Davidson, man?
Yeah, he was interesting. I didn't realize it was the same guy from The Crying Game.
Well, here's the thing, man. That guy got so much shit from The Crying Game. He actually, you might have read this too, Chad, but he, like when they asked him to do the movie, and he gave him a ridiculous amount of money because he didn't want to do the movie.
Yeah, right.
And then they decided they gave it to him anyway. And he hated the movie, and it was a horrible experience, and he hated the costumes, and he quit acting after this movie.
I don't know. I like him in this. He's very
basically the correct.
He kind of has that non-human ability.
Look.
I found. Yeah, I don't know.
He does, and he kind of has. I I mean, he's young too, so he's kind of he's got a really smooth face. So he's like, you know, I'm trying to say effeminate without saying effeminate.
I mean, he's
I don't feel
effeminate.
like that's the right word.
It's definitely effeminate.
I guess. Yeah, I guess. But anyway, so yeah. I thought he was a good choice. He had the right look and everything. But man, it sounds like he had an absolutely dreadful experience between this and the one other movie that he did.
Yeah, I have forgotten about his character really, other than like you said, the close-ups on his face, and you're just kind of like, you know, is it a man? Is it a woman? You're kind of like confused about the actor, the person, and like the makeup, and it's just like, wow, okay, that's a really interesting character, and it
totally
kind of like looking back on it, I think like he's a really good example of like what I imagine the like immortal fucking trillionaires in some sci-fi movies that get all these like Polson treatment kind of shit. This like their ideal, like they have this weird ass like vibe to them, you know? And I kind of like that about the character and the casting. Like he did an interesting job.
Yeah, and he's a good choice because of that too.
It's a shame he had a hard time with it, but
yeah, definitely evokes that sort of, you know,
feeling.
Despite being young, evokes that sort of like, you know, ancient, perverse sort of, you know, being vibe.
Yeah.
Especially when he comes out with like the weird, very un-Egyptian looking Ming the Merciless sort of
girdle thing or whatever
outfit at the end.
Oh, the girdle thing was
like
weird.
No, at the end with like the horns and like the
oh
circle
right,
behind his head and, like,
yeah. That was
like,
weird.
It's totally like Ming the Merciless looking. I was like, where the fuck did this costume come from?
Right?
And why did he change just now?
Yeah,
it's like things are going sideways. It's time for me to put my Ming the Merciless costume
and go wreak some havoc out in the desert.
Go grab my brain boiling ring and cause some trouble.
Love it.
The ring was totally Ming the Merciless, man. And then like there was another scene before that where he was wearing like what looked like a bustier. It was very interesting fashion choice. I was like,
that was super interesting. I don't know. It just hit. It was a good, very kind of confusing, weird character that was fit. You know, I don't know. I like it.
I'm picturing the writers, but that's what these aliens wear, man.
That's just the way.
You don't know what it's like out in the Galactic Empire, man. This is what these aliens wear. This is high fashion now.
Well, the bustier outfit, if that's what we're going to call it, at least has kind of like a royal sort of like
100%, dude. 100%,
Egyptian sort of vibe to it, whereas the other one was just like, what the fuck is this weird sci-fi shit you're wearing now?
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it was cool. The costumes were awesome, man. I mean, you know, like I actually thought that all the costumes of everybody that was on that planet, right? So all of the Egyptians, right? Because those people were taken from Egypt through the Stargate, blah, blah, blah. And then all of the, you know, the Ra and his people, like all those costumes were fantastic, man. The sets were too, man. I mean, I like the idea of
except for the children's costumes.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
awesome.
They were inappropriate, but they kind of had an Egyptian.
I'm just speaking like I'm just speaking from the terms of the quality of the costumes,
not the side ass.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about that.
Fair
So
enough.
like, and I really thought the sets were good too, man. I actually loved the idea of the pyramid shaped ship landing on top of the pyramid. I actually thought that was so cool when I
it's
first saw
cool
this movie
and also not cool at the same time. It's both things, I think, for me at least.
Yeah, I think it's cool. But
the thing that's not cool about it is it implies that the pyramid ship has to sort of be hollow and be pyramid shaped on the inside.
Yeah.
Which is not a practical shape for
No, you're right. Actually, yeah, you're right. No, now that I remember when I saw it in the theater and I was like, oh my God, that is so cool. But listening to you say that, Ben, like, I'm like, what? It's so stupid. Why didn't I think of that before? Because like, if you landed the ship, if you land the ship like that, it's like all the massive cavernous interior space of your ship is no longer. Like,
you actually have a very small ship in terms of interior usable space.
Well, you see the top
just
is
so it can
is
land on top of a pyramid.
there's a good there's space at the top. There's a few bedrooms up there and the bridge and like
Yeah.
you know
There's the office and
the
like
office
the empty room
where we
with
hang out.
with
The pool room.
regeneration chamber,
But
and
those-
then I don't really want to know what else is up
No.
there.
The
but
spaces
yes.
on the side, like down below, that's very, very thin. It's very hard to get into those spaces. We don't go down there a lot.
We send the kids in there because it's so small, the crawl spaces.
Exactly, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's where they keep the ping pong table.
Space ping pong table, buddy.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people, they don't talk about this shit in Ancient Aliens, but
But they need to.
ping pong.
Totally.
Ping pong came from the aliens. man.
Totally.
It
Yep.
was called space ping pong, and then they adapted it to.
No, it was called ping pong. I mean, it's pretty fucking
That's an
alien
alien
sounding.
sounding,
It is. Yeah. Totally.
Love it.
And this is where
You can
the
make a whole
narrator.
season
Hold on.
of Ancient Aliens about that.
You can make a whole season of Ancient Aliens by just making shit up.
Exactly.
Like, you really can.
And then the narrator, every time somebody says something like what you just said, Ben, he goes, "Ancient astronaut theorists think." Hang on. Ancient astronaut theorists say this is not only possible but probable.
These hieroglyphs clearly depict an ancient ping pong tournament.
Exactly.
Single elimination.
Exactly.
And if one of the people could beat one of the gods, they could ascend into godhood.
Like one of the fucking masks, they pushes the button. He's like, "Take a look at your god now," and it's Forrest Gump.
I have no idea where you came up with that, but it's
But he's
funny.
really good at ping pong, dude. Come on, Forrest Gump.
Oh, duh. Totally. Wow, that's a death, bro.
That's a death and a half, bro. Come
That
on.
is a death. It's a
Lieutenant
death. It's serious
Diane.
No, I kind of want to see Forrest Gump as a mummy.
Fucking A. I mean, he does all the other stuff, He's like in all the other right places at the right time. Imagine if maybe he's an actual alien,
You know how they added in that like sort of after effect on Jay's voice to give it that really cool kind of
Yeah.
alien sound whenever he spoke. So like
Mm-hmm.
he's got the raw mask on and he's talking like that and it sounds like super intimidating and all that. And then he presses the button and it's Tom Hanks's face
And
and,
it's
he goes,
Forrest.
no, and he goes, "That's all I got to say about that."
But it's like, "That's all I have to say about that."
No. It's like that when he's got the mask on. Then when he takes
Oh,
the
okay.
mask off, he sounds like Forrest, dude.
I'm into
That
it, dude.
is good.
I'm into it.
Yeah, I like it.
If they didn't get Jay Davison back in the day, they definitely should have got Tom Hanks. That would have been great.
Yeah, perfect.
That's
So
raw.
we're going for either Jay Davison from The Crying Game or Tom Hanks from. He's our second choice.
But not Tom
course.
Hanks, but for Forrest Gump.
Yeah, right.
It's not Tom Hanks. It has to be Forrest Gump.
Shit, dude. Oh my god. Should I bother?
I don't know
trying to
where
steer
that
us
came
back on
from,
track,
but-
or
Should you bother what?
Should I bother trying to steer us back on track? or-
Nah.
We were talking about the costumes, and
Yes.
or Benny was talking about had kind of brought up the
Oh,
costumes.
the
and I was
costumes.
expounding on that.
From costumes to Forrest Gump, dude. Okay.
Well, you know how it is
Mhm.
here, man. I was going to say, why don't we talk about the effects and stuff?
yeah.
Okay, let's do
Let's do
I
that.
can't tell if you're being serious. or not.
The Stargate effects.
Yeah.
Cool.
Clever.
Very cool.
Yeah,
You like the water? You
was
like the
clever.
water?
Continually copied,
But clever.
to this
Yeah.
day. Whenever somebody wants to
Isn't it
make a
though?
wormhole on a, I've seen it so many times.
I
It's
have. I've
crazy.
seen it as well. Many, many, many times, dude. And this was the originator.
That's how you do it on a budge,
Yeah,
dude.
So kudos for
Yeah.
that.
Mm.
But those like
Creep.
the helmet is like folding into the rest of the costume now effects
Jank-tastic.
were so fucking laughably
Yeah, it was
bad.
pretty
Like
jank.
I didn't remember that.
my
I was just
God.
like, oh my god,
It was jank.
oh my god,
It was janky, dude. It was janky.
so bad.
But back then, it looked so
Back then it was
cool,
cool,
man. So
but it was janky.
so
Well, Yeah, back then you hadn't seen anything like it, so you're like, oh, that's a cool idea.
Very
But
cool idea.
Now when you see it, it's just like, holy fuck, that's bad.
Well, no, I'm also saying that it actually looked cool back then because
I
of
would
what you
agree
just said. But
at the
like
time.
now that we've seen it done so much better and the technology's gotten so much better,
Yeah,
it's like
it's
I
janky
watched
as
it today.
fuck.
I watched the movie today and I was like, wow, that looks bad.
I'm watching it now,
It's like-
and it looks bad.
I'm literally. But yeah, I thought the headpieces were very cool though, man. I liked
totally.
that it was like a kind of like an
I-
extension of the person, and it like would articulate and move, presumably as their head did, lower down inside it, and kind of give them like a bird's eye kind of view over everything. I don't know. As far as like.
It's like intimidating. And
Yeah,
scary.
yeah.
They look like Anubis and
whatever the other gods are. Yeah,
whatever the other gods are. But that aspect is cool. But the minute that helmet falls away, it's like, oh,
yeah, right.
Especially with Ra.
Ooh, that hurt to watch.
Yes,
Yeah, that one was really bad.
yeah. But I did think, so I guess my sort of final thought on that is that as far as back in '94 when I saw this, that was so cool, but did not hold up at all. And the guy, I read a little blurb about the effects guy was saying how they had to do it in 2D, and it was difficult to do because the actors not even that the actors weren't standing still, but that the cameras were moving, so they had to compensate for that. And he said it was very, very difficult to do.
I believe it. It
But,
did kind of
did
kind of not
right.
track with the character. I think that was one of the huge failure points. Like the
Yeah,
character would
absolutely.
move a little bit,
And
and the helmet wouldn't. It was like kind of in the right place or whatever.
When did T2 come out? Was it 92 or 94?
Ooh, I want to say 4.
I always feel like I have 4 in my head, but I feel like the other day when we were doing Terminator, I was saying, it was 7 years.
91.
Difference. Oh, 91. Okay. So the technology was there, but it was, still.
But
very
that's not the same thing though. Like the Abyss and Terminator is a standalone character as opposed to trying to.
I know, but
I'm
just broadly talking about CGI, dude. You don't need to get into a whole debate about it.
No.
I'm just saying,
I'm just caveating it with it's over a person on the film here, which I think makes it an order of magnitude more difficult of a shot than having.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. And they also didn't have the budget that Cameron had on Terminator 2.
Sure.
Interestingly enough, I found it interesting that the budget for this was the same as Mortal Kombat Annihilation, $55 million.
Yeah, right.
Or not Annihilation, but the one we
watched. Yeah, because a couple years later, you've got Fifth Element. That's a little bit more practical, but like they're similar effects. Like Jovovich in the giant city jumping out and stuff. And I don't know, it's just a huge leap. No
the
pun
way
intended.
they did that city, New York, was so goddamn good in that movie.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. It's one of my favorite things ever.
But the costumes here and the gods and stuff, it kind of reminded me a lot of some of the choices in the Fifth Element. I don't know if they would have lifted from this, I guess, a little bit, but with the giant weird armadillo alien kind of face dudes with the Aziz Light kind of sequence.
Their weird little tiny heads.
Yeah. Wait, the armadillo dudes and I'm getting
the opening scene. Aziz Light.
Oh, the Montechiwans. Yes.
Montechiwan.
Totally.
Plays hell.
Play. And there's Brucey doing his old tongue in cheek.
Yeah, that's it.
Finger's gonna kill me for this.
Vin Diesel's gonna kill me.
Whatever. Yeah, Vin Diesel's gonna kill me, exactly.
You're looking at yourself in the mirror and you thought you wanted some pot?
Pot belly!
Anytime is a good time for pie.
If you had a pot belly.
I specifically told you to pack the watch.
I wanted to talk about the sort of the teleportation device that they have with the rings.
Oh yeah,
I really,
Yes.
really like that a lot.
That was cool.
Man. I've never seen anything like it. It's like the rings kind of come down separately, and then they all kind of stack,
Mhm.
and then it's like you got a similar effect to Star Trek, and it doesn't really seem to be a distance limitation. Like it's not like just used for going from the office of the pyramid
to the ping
ship
pong room.
down to the ping pong room. You can.
That's it. That's all it does.
Yeah.
That is funny. That would be funny. But I like that you could, it didn't seem to have a distance limitation. I thought that was really cool. There's some cool stuff like that and the Stargate in this movie that I feel like a people copied for sort of years afterward, which is kind of
I like the sound effect associated with that whole
with the teleporting thing. Yes,
with the teleportation device.
Yes.
The sound effect, the sound design was cool.
mm-hmm.
I guess Ra's like regeneration chamber was
pretty sick.
kind of cool looking.
That was very cool. Actually, it was kind of like a Bacta tank without the liquid, and
Yeah.
and much more high tech and much cooler, man. And it had like all those cool glyphs
Like a
all over
high-tech
it, like a what?
Like a high tech tomb, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an
Yes,
interesting,
like a
it's an
high-tech
interesting
tomb,
kind of
yes.
like take on just how ornate the tombs and shit were. Like it kind of makes sense that it would be a, regeneration chamber in a weird way.
Right. It's like that. That's what they saw, and so that's why they buried their,
People like that.
important people like that.
Yeah, that's
It's
interesting.
like, oh, it'll bring them back to life eventually. It's really ornate and pretty. It'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
100%.
Like it's very, I don't know if tropey is the right word, but I really like I really enjoy the idea of an alien landing in ancient Egypt and them treating him like a god. Like it's a very interesting idea because, Kurt Willis and James Spader land and they run in and they have a similar level of technology. Not really, but they have a much more advanced level of technology than the Egyptian slave people. And they would also kind of be seen as gods. And just the idea, I think it kind of is a sci-fi trope, but just the idea of a primitive civilization being introduced to radical advanced technology and that kind of god element is interesting.
It's definitely biting right out of Chariot of the Gods kind of
Oh, 100%, dude.
all that shit.
Yeah.
That's exactly where Ancient Aliens was born from as well, dude. It's straight out of Chariots of the Gods.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's not. It hasn't been mined very much for sci-fi, which is kind of baffling.
Yeah.
What, ancient?
One would think that
Ancient
that
astronaut?
kind of. Yeah, all that stuff. One would think there would be a lot of content based
No,
on that.
I had a really cool idea for a show that was kind of based on that exact idea, and
Yeah.
it was kind of combining some cool elements together, man. And of course, I never wrote it, so it's not a thing. But yeah, I agree with you. Aside from the three Stargate TV shows that mined quite a bit out of it, there really is nothing else, man. You're right.
I don't know. It seems like, I mean, this stuff is popular, so people must like it. I mean, it's all fiction anyway, so.
No, it's not all fiction, dude. It's definitely not all fiction, dude. Some of the things that they've found and some of the stuff that's changed since they started that show is really crazy, man.
I just can't believe they're still making it.
I mean, my second job, my first job is a Mortal Kombat film historian. My
Your second job is an ancient alien?
Ancient Aliens television and film historian. So
Ancient
I
aliens
would know
ping pong announcer?
Yeah, sure.
I've never seen an episode of Ancient Aliens. I'm pleased to say.
So good, man. It's just like Chariots of the Gods. It's all what if, that's the whole premise of the show. Same as the book. The book was all question. Could this have been? That was Eric Von Daniken's whole bag with that book. And
I'm being
people
a
took it the
sassy
wrong
bitch
way.
about this, but I
it's fine.
feel the same way about it's like the WWE of sci-fi or whatever. It's not really my thing, but
Yeah.
I like it here.
I think it's good entertainment and it's fun to think about. I haven't seen anything that I find particularly compelling.
Sure. This is compelling. I like this one, man. I like the fiction.
It's interesting to think about, it's cool, but I don't necessarily believe it.
Sure.
Anyway, where are we? Where are we on this?
I think the villagers were kind of where we were a little bit.
We're on special effects, but
Oh yeah, we were on
the
special effects.
yeah. Duh.
we can move on to the villagers, I guess.
What other special effects were there? It was really just the helmet stuff. We did actually though, like with the teleportation shit. Like I like that the teleportation shit was a thing, and I like that they had the weird decapitations, and like it was a huge plot point.
Yes, using it to decapitate someone, which seems like it. There'd be some kind of safety protocol built
You would
in.
think.
You're like, yeah, no, there's not a whole person in this thing. Like, we won't just fire up for no reason.
Safety third, man. Safety third.
Safety third. That's
He's
my
too busy
bag.
playing
You know
space
that.
chess. He didn't give a shit about safety.
That's those ancient aliens. They weren't really much for like OSHA or they were like seriously like they were like heavy duty libertarians who just didn't believe in any kind of regulation. So they
I
just
love it,
There
dude.
you
they just
go.
went all like willy nilly with their shit and like well, if you stick your head in the transporter, then it's going to transport your head
Just
off.
the way
and
it
that's
is,
your prerogative, buddy.
You're free to do that. Freedom isn't free. What did you have your hand up for, Kev?
Oh, because if I hold my finger up and I put it up far enough, the way the background is, it'll just eat my finger and look like it's not.
Oh, is
there.
that what you were? I thought you were raising your hand to say something. Where you were just like eating your finger.
I was. I started raising my hand to say something, and I noticed that, and then I got preoccupied with that while I was listening to you
Okay.
guys. So I wanted to, my last thought on the effects was because we've talked about this. It's come up a bunch from different angles recently in some of the movies that we've done, and we were talking about CGI a couple of weeks back, and just talking about how we've kind of gone through the infancy of the CGI, and we know what's it's capable of doing and adding to a movie. We had talked about how flawless it was in Mortal Kombat, and before that, we were just talking about how it's kind of overused and it can't replace story. And what I wanted to say was that the CGI, even though it was very, very expensive in '94 for them to use, they used just the right amount. And this was a great example of where the CGI and the effects were utilized to enhance the story, not the other way around. They weren't like used as an excuse because we don't have a real script and a real
now
story,
it is
right?
the story more often than not.
God, it's so annoying, man. But I just wanted to take a second and praise the film for that because I
that's
thought
fair.
it was really cool. And they really just, like with the headpieces, that transition from like wearing the headpiece to it going around your neck, like, that and like a couple other things. There wasn't a whole lot in there. And I like how they judiciously used it like that. It was very cool.
You're probably right, but I had the exact opposite thought on this watching. I was like,
"How, dude?
Oh, they made this like Stargate thing and came up with like the water effect, and then they were like, we got to write a movie around this."
Okay, I could see that.
that was kind of like where I was at with it. I was like, because it's not like the most deep plot in the world.
No,
or whatever,
dude,
It's
I
just
am
like,
not saying
it's
that
almost
at
like they
all.
hired like Devlin and Emmerich to like, they're like, all right, we got this cool effect.
What can we do
Like,
with
what
it?
do we do with it?
I am with
Go
that.
ahead, we got it.
I am. I'm on your motorcycle with that line of thinking. Certainly, that's been done in many movies, and I would not put it past this movie either. Because I mean,
I think it's at least plausible.
it's totally plausible, dude. I mean, look at the other movies these guys have done. Independence Day and Godzilla. This is probably the better of the three. The plots are just super thin, man. I mean, aside.
Yeah, I'm probably be inclined to agree.
They are
Aside
super
from
thin.
Jeff Goldblum's presence in Independence Day, I mean, there's- I don't know. It's so bad, dude. But I agree with you. But that said, okay. So really, what I'm saying is like they still could have said, "Hey, dude, what if the Stargate looked like water? Right? Let's write a movie about it." I'm still saying that they used a very small amount of
They didn't
computer
overuse CGI.
generated. Yeah, they did not. No, certainly did not
Yeah.
overuse it. They used enough to complement the story where they needed it. Okay,
And they didn't. It
definitely
wasn't a
not
great
putting-
execution, but I agree. Like you had the little plane thing, the plane scarab shit, and the helmet stuff.
Yeah.
and then
it was janky,
that's pretty much
but
it.
they used it in a very minimal fashion. So they
Yeah.
still like. So what I'm saying, Ben, is that both things can be true and probably are. Is that they probably, the story idea came from the idea that the Stargate would look cool if it was water. and I'm praising that they used CGI in a minimal fashion.
And
in the
you're saying they
movie,
didn't do a
so-
good job with the CGI all at the same time. It's all of the things.
It's like
Exactly.
it's like an Ouroboros. It's
Yeah.
like
Kinda,
the snake
yeah.
eating its head. It's like
Yeah.
it's the movie that was spawned by an effect. Yet
Totally. But then we took all the effects out of the movie.
Yet the effects drove the story.
Oh, that's funny, man. Yeah, so yeah, that's interesting. All right, so that's a thing. What else? Villagers, go.
The Village People, Rufio,
All right.
and the Lost Boys.
Rufio and the Lost Boys and Benjamin Netanyahu. Yep, go. What do you got?
Fucking Rufio. I kind of feel like the main guy, dready
Benjamin.
lighter dude, was very
Oh,
was very Rufio and Aziz Light. You know, like I don't know, man. I like,
dude, he was totally Aziz Light, man.
I do appreciate the thread of Russell's character being broken from his kid dying. Like,
Yeah, I do.
It's like it's a bit of a club to beat you over the head with the idea, but like I don't
Yeah, it
know.
is.
Honestly, like I feel like I mean, you tell me what you think about this. Like I
Lay it out.
read a book recently on storytelling. I think I've talked about it a few times, and I spoke about it most recently. Oh fuck, I don't even remember what. But it's like the heart of a story is a 5-second change, where there's like a 5-second moment in a story where like something changes forever.
Okay.
And like Kurt Russell having Rufio come up to him at the end after having saved the day, and Kurt Russell having a little bit of closure about his kid. It, I think, is that moment in this movie, and I find it interesting. Just like there isn't, like Dr. Bleep Bloop deciding to stay with his new super hot slave girlfriend. Like, cool, man.
Hmm.
But it's Kurt Russell kind of having that closure. I think that is actually the core of the story, and it's just it's a layer that might be left out of other films, but like I kind of feel like it's the heart of it.
Yeah, you're really going deep here.
But like,
that
what's
is
the
a
heart
deep
of the story then? That's why I'm asking.
No, you're right. That is that kind of is the heart of the story. I mean, like and it's nice to add. And again, we're stretching here, right? But it's nice to add that layer to this story that has a pretty basic, like, oh, let's free the villagers kind of rah story. It's like Egypt, fuck yeah.
Santa Poco, Egypt, fuck yeah.
Santa Poco, fuck yeah, right? So I think, yes, you're right. I do agree. Even though I found Kurt Willis's some of his choices to be a little bit weird here, I am glad that it was him. Firstly, because he's super capable. Secondly, I think that you're right. That thread is
It's ham-fisted,
there, and I think that
but it's an
it's a little
choice.
ham-fisted, but but it's also it adds another layer to the movie that would otherwise have one layer, and it gives it a little bit more depth, and it's definitely resolved at the end, like he through helping the people and his relationship with the lighter kid. What do you call him? Rufio
from Hook.
Oh, Rufio. Oh, Aziz, right? Aziz right?
Light, yeah.
Aziz Light. So through that, yeah, he does have redemption and some sort of closure with his own child's death, which is good.
And
I mean, he still wants to kill
he
himself.
goes back through the Stargate to hang out with his wife, who's still doing the dishes, smoking a bot.
Who clearly doesn't really care about much. But he doesn't. He still kind of wants to kill himself, but it's like more for a better reason.
I like the idea.
Like,
I still want to shoot
like
myself.
he's smiling and he's
for a good
like,
reason.
hey Jackson, like I like you. I want go through the gate and get back. So
Yeah.
I'll stay here and blow this thing up because I want you guys to live and I want you to.
Yeah.
This is like, I can't even believe we're talking about this, dude. This is way too deep and way more than this movie deserves, probably. But yeah, okay, I'll get on board. We did get Egypt fuck yeah out of it, and Santa Poco fuck yeah out of it, so that's good.
I did. Did anyone else get really upset when Steve-O died?
Steve-O, who's that? Is that Chaka? Oh, yeah, that's Chaka. I call him Chaka. He's Chaka. He reminds me.
When the walls fell.
Yeah, well, no, not that Chaka. The Chaka from Land of the Lost. That's what he reminds me of.
The really ugly kid with the teeth?
Next Generation, and for you, it's Steve-O.
Dude, he looked just like Steve-O, man.
I know he did, dude. And he was also
like
one of the funniest things in the movie, or like the funniest thing in the movie, is when like Spader starts doing the chicken thing, and they all start copying him, and then they all stop, except he's still going. No, he's still going. Blah 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 blah. Oh, good, very very good.
Then they give it to the Skeksis horse puppet. Like, go get him, Lassie. What's that, Lassie?
Yeah. I mean,
Dr. Bleep Bloop fell on the well.
Fun, in terms of effects, like practical effects, that was kind of a
cool.
Fun creature.
It was very,
I thought it was cool.
Muppety.
It's kind of like a half Skeksis, half Dewback from Star Wars, half horse
with the slimy tongue.
A little bit of a Berg in there or a Blurg from Mandalorian.
Blurg.
Pretty cool.
Oh yeah, with the
Blurg.
Animal in a costume for sure. But,
100%.
Fairly well done.
Yeah, with Queel, dude.
With Queel, exactly. I was like, what's that character's name? I love Queel. I have spoken.
If I think of him, I just like I'll go back and watch the first season because it's just so good to watch him.
Oh man,
so
Queel,
goddamn good, man.
I love that he looks like Nick Nolte.
I know,
it's so good.
We talked about that. We brought that up numerous times, and it's so true, dude.
I want to see a remake. I want to see another 48 hours with Queel and Eddie Murphy.
Oh, we talked about that already too, dude.
Did we?
I remember that. Yeah, we did. One of us brought it up during the 48 Hours episode.
That's the type of Star Wars movie we would make.
Damn right.
Queel and Eddie Murphy.
Or show we would make if, Disney approached us. We're like, okay, we're going to do like...
What do you want to do? We want to do 48 Hours in space.
Okay,
we're going to do a parody of 48 Hours...
48 parsecs?
In the Star Wars universe.
Exactly. 48 parsecs.
With Nick Nolte as Queel. And Eddie Murphy.
I love it. So
I had that... Remember, like... A couple years ago, Benny, I had that idea of like, wouldn't it be funny if to have Arnold be Han Solo? It'd be great to have
Punch it, Chewie.
Exactly, because I started doing that one day, and that's where it all came from. Punch it, Chewie. He got a big stogie in his mouth, and he's wearing a wife beater, like in Raw Deal. Punch it, Chewie. We're only 43 parsecs away. Let's go.
He's got a flat top haircut, like fucking Kurt Russell.
Oh hell
yeah, baby. Oh, that'd be great. It'd be funny to have him with Queel.
Punch it, Chewie.
Yeah, punch it. We're gonna go see Queel. We're gonna see Queel ride a blurg.
Chewie, sit goes for Tatooine. We're going to see Queel.
Chewie's like...
Chewie should have Sly's voice.
No, Chewie's like... See, but it's only 43 parsecs away.
Chewie's like Chewie.
No, Chewie's like Chewie from Mexico. I was toying around with that idea. I was like, well, what if it was Chewie? Chuy? Chewie?
I love that, dude.
All right.
It's ridiculous.
Okay.
All right. Benjamin Netanyahu, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, Benjamin Netanyahu.
I mean, what else is there? Finds the 7 fucking symbols and locks in his chevrons and they go fucking home.
The chevrons in.
I'm going to stay behind and be with my new wife.
Yeah, bad move. Why don't you take her home, like where there's
Right?
medicine and dentistry
And cold drinks.
toothpaste,
Cold drinks.
soap,
Toothpaste.
Right?
What did you say? Did you say dentistry?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dentistry, toothpaste, and cold drinks, dude.
and medicine.
And medicine.
And soap.
There you go. It's soap. Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Instead, he's going to stay behind and build an entire civilization. The idea of the movie as just one thing, like one movie without 25 seasons of shows, is more attractive to me than the Expanse style. Like, because if Dr. Bleep Bloop stays behind and lives happily ever after without any cold drinks, like, okay, but like Kurt Willis goes back and he's like, yeah, there's a whole civilization over there. They just go and fuck it up, like they always do.
You know it,
So,
dude. You know they would.
I definitely want to think of this as just one thing. Like I watched the show, I remember, but I don't remember it, so didn't have much of an impression. It's probably too busy switching over to Sequest, to your point earlier.
Yeah, I'm
Talking
kind of
dolphin.
curious about the show. I'm curious about the show now because I kind of like the lore base that they set up in this, or the start of the world building in this, and I think, quite honestly, the show probably did a way better job of expounding on
had
that
more time
and nerding. Yeah, and had more time and nerding out about it. So like, I remember when the show was on, and I was, like Ben said, like I was in my early 20s, and I was just like, stupid, everything sucks, whatever, and like I think
I definitely watched it for a bit, just because, like, there wasn't really a lot on, like
no, there wasn't.
As far as like sci-fi went, and it had fucking MacGyver in it, so I was like,
MacGyver being in it is huge, dude. And I mean, like the show ran for 10 years. I mean, it's like that's a long time, dude. So
yeah,
I've definitely seen like a season or two of it, but
same.
As soon as there was like something more interesting to watch, I started watching.
Well, yeah, but it was like
Jump
you'd
ship,
watch
dude.
this and then you'd flip over and it'd be like the nightly TNG, and then it'd be like Seinfeld, Simpsons, Seinfeld. It's like I'm watching that, dude. Sorry,
Totally, that's exactly right. And then you were like, yeah, sorry, SG1.
Sorry,
lose.
SG1. I'm gonna watch some more TNG
Yeah.
and Seinfeld, bro.
100%, dude. I think. Shoot,
Shit
sorry.
on it for those who love it. It wasn't necessarily my bag,
exactly.
but it was more interesting than some stuff that was.
No,
on at the time,
I'm with it. I think what I'm saying is that I'm actually compelled to check it out now because I'm
Yeah, it might
like,
be decent.
okay, like I remember how cool this movie was, and like the show is probably definitely got to be better. Certainly in the lore department and the writing. You know what I mean? Like,
I saw a
Definitely
blurb. Go ahead.
deeper dive into a shallower pond.
Yeah, exactly.
you're saying it's a deeper dive into a shallower pond.
It probably won't be a home run. I saw a blurb that was like, what order should you watch the Stargate stuff? And it was like, watch seasons 1 to 3, and then this show, seasons 1, and then seasons 6 to 7, and then this show, and then 8 to 10. It's like, I am out, dude. Like, I am
Dude,
not
it's like,
watching
dude.
all this shit.
Yeah, there's collectively like 20 seasons worth
That's
of
nuts.
network, dude. So you know what that means? There's like 24 episodes in a season, man. It's not like
That's
this
bananas.
10 episode BS that they're doing now.
Reminds me of every time I have the ambition to try and watch Babylon 5 again.
There you go.
And I'm like, no.
No thanks. I mean, that's like 200
Why?
episodes
Babylon's-
of shit. Like, that's so much stuff.
Yeah, but Babylon was tight, bro. It was so good.
But you're
man.
not going to get through 200 episodes of it. There's no way.
I did it with DS9.
DS9 is not Babylon.
Meaning what?
Meaning DS9 is fucking
Babylon's-
great. Like, I'm not saying Babylon's bad, but like, I find it easy to get to trip and fall into 200 episodes of Star Trek. Like, whatever. Like,
Sure.
anything that's not that though.
Don't get me wrong, dude. Don't get me wrong. It's not a huge. It's still a massive undertaking at this point in
Sure,
my life.
sure.
But yeah,
I think even with
I'm
Star
feeling-
Trek, I think the thing about
problem is,
yeah, go ahead.
what?
I was going to say, the problem is I've seen most of Babylon 5,
Yeah.
but have missed giant holes
Yeah.
Same.
here and there.
Yeah.
And so, like, every time I go to do it, I'm like, my instinct is like, well, I just want to see the stuff that I didn't see.
And it's like
But
impossible.
then, like, I can't watch it without the context of, like,
Totally.
what came before. So then I'm like, fuck, I have to watch the whole thing.
I know.
So then I go back and start watching the whole thing. And then I'm just like, ugh. It's like, like, I love the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy books, but I've tried to reread them like 15 times in the past 10 years.
To no effect.
And I always like, I'll get through the first book and then I don't follow through.
That's it.
Or, I'll just be like, you know what? I've already read the first book. I'll start at the second one and then I don't follow. It's just like I have all these like starts
Yep.
or whatever. And it just,
Yeah, false starts. Sure.
Yeah, and it just fucks me up, and then I'm like, I just don't do it, you know. So Babylon 5 is kind of like that.
Do the audio, Benny. They got Douglas Adams reading it. Do you get those? Do you have those by chance?
Yeah, Chris just did the audios. I might consider that,
because there's the regular audiobooks, but then there's a version that you can still hunt down. I have them on MP3 that are Douglas Adams reading them all, or at least reading the first 3 or 4. Yeah, they were hard. They're hard. I mean, they might not be hard to come by now, but when I got them, they were a little bit harder to come by. You couldn't. I think they took them. They removed them from sale, and you could only get the newer versions that were narrated by somebody else, which are probably fine. But
it's worthy. I'll get to it one of these days.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's a good. I think it's a good point though. Sometimes it's hard to sink your teeth into something on a revisit, and like the Babylon 5 stuff, or this, I presume, like, is different than a Star Trek. Because like Star Trek, you can just watch a random one. You know, like there's Monster of the Week or whatever. There's Serial, and like
they did way more.
I don't think I could sit down and watch. I don't think I could binge TNG, for example. I think I'd get bored after 5 or 6 of them. I liked that it was every day there was another random one on TV. Like that was so my vibe, you know.
Right, but with DS9 and Babylon, like the story is the story. Like you definitely had Monster of the Week episodes on DS9, but like really on Babylon 5, man, it was all one giant. At least that my recollection of it was that it was all one massive interconnected story, and that's where the frustration comes from. In what you're saying, dude, because it's so good. But it's like really to do it justice and to do yourself justice, you got to go from episode 1 and go all the way to the end.
Yeah.
If memory serves, there were definitely some like character building sort of episodes that weren't as like pivotal to the plot.
Sure,
I'm sure. But there definitely was like a very important overarching story that had to be.
Yeah, they had a clear
on top of, otherwise it got confusing. You're like, wait, what's going on now?
Well, they had and that's one of the things I appreciated about that show is that they had a clear vision and they had like a direction, and they're like, we are going north. Like this is where we're going, and it's like awesome. Yeah. You know, it's a lot more than a lot of shows can do, you know, so pretty cool.
So that's how I feel about Stargate. I'm like, it might be interesting
maybe
to watch, but then I'm like, oh, fuck, there's so much of it.
Maybe on an airplane. You know? I got 30 hours on an airplane in a week. Maybe I'll watch 30 episodes of Stargate.
Oh, that's right. Dude, nice. We can
try and hook it up.
We got it's funny, you'll be arriving with our new couch and we got a giant fucking OLED TV.
Love it.
Nice.
We're going to have
binge all of the Stargate together. Cuddle on the couch.
Yeah, we'll watch. Yeah, exactly.
Love it. Yeah, I don't know. I am with you, Benny. I probably have watched a couple seasons of this and remember 0 of it. So I am kind of tempted, but like I just know that I won't ever do it because there's just other stuff. I can't even get myself to watch like the new shows and shit, let alone old shit.
Fair enough. Let's go straight into the NDR. Let's skip the bits and bobs. And
we did bits and bobs.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I got no nugs. I think the most interesting nug was what you said earlier about Jay Davidson being like so just uninterested in acting after the Crying Game. There was I found a cool little YouTube interview of him at the time after Crying Game on like Entertainment Tonight, and he was just like, I don't give a fuck about any of this stuff. Like, this is crazy. This is, you know, and it was interesting. He seems like a really solid dude. So
yeah, definitely.
I like that he was just like, this fame thing is crazy. I have no interest. Fucking, I'm out. And it's interesting. You know, he was a very vocal, like didn't give a shit what anyone thought, out gay guy at the time too, which was very different at the time in terms of like not many people were out, and I just like that he didn't give a fuck what anyone thought. It's like, cool, good for you, bro.
I always love that, man. I like that. Yeah, it's good.
And good for you not getting caught up in the fame train and realizing that it's not something you want to do and just piecing out. Like,
or taking a look at it. Yeah, taking a look at it after one film and being like, dude, not having it, not for me.
I love that he was just like, I don't want to do Stargate. Pay me $1 million because he thought they would say no, and then they said yes, and he's like, okay, well, I'll do it then. That was great.
Yeah, 100%. That was an interesting nugget. It's surprising that how many interesting nuggets there were about this particular movie. You know, there's a lot actually.
I read them all. I don't remember any of them, but yeah,
I picked. There was a couple that jumped out at me. One was that Spader, in an almost similar vein as Jay Davidson, he read the script and thought this movie was awful. So did Kurt Willis, but turns out they sent Kurt Willis the first draft, not the final draft. But Spader
Nice
read
work,
it
guys.
and thought it was terrible. But at the time, he was like, I needed the money, and he's like, sometimes you just do
Fair
a job
enough.
for the effing money.
He did a good job
That's what
considering he just wanted the money.
dude, he did a really good job. I was super
Yeah,
impressed, man.
You didn't phone it in.
Not at all.
Definitely did not phone it in. The other one too that I thought was really cool was that Aziz and Benjamin Netanyahu, in between takes, they would hang around and they would they would talk to pass the time. They would talk to each other in ancient Egyptian.
There you go. Love
I
it.
was like, wow,
You got to be real fucking
Pretty
bored
cool.
to do that.
yeah.
I did,
Now the other.
Sorry, I'll
ahead.
chuck a nugget in. I'll take a turn. I did see one that I thought was quite, I don't know, funny is probably the word. Rick Moranis was offered the role of Dr. Bleep Bloop, which
I know.
I think that's pretty funny, dude. Like I would actually have
believe it.
enjoyed that.
I was picturing that, and I was like, I could see that, but he's I
love
He's
Mr.
also
I'll
Moranis.
take any opportunity for
Rick Moranis.
more back catalog of Rick Moranis.
That's
being that
it.
He doesn't
That's
do
it.
anything now.
We should
Totally.
do a Rick Moranis, dude. We should like
A little-
the kids or something.
Well, how about Ghostbusters, dude?
Yeah, totally. I just watched it recently.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, have some.
He's so good. And Vince Clortho.
Didn't we do Ghostbusters?
You're the gatekeeper.
No, you're confused because we call Vince Veyu Vince Clortho.
Yeah, Vince Clortho.
Little Shop of Horrors was great too, man.
Yeah, it was good, dude. So many things.
So
he's
many
done.
good
Dude,
movies.
My Blue Heaven.
Great movie, Ben. Great.
I don't remember that one. Which one's that? I've definitely seen it.
It's Steve Martin plays this ridiculously over the top gangster. It's so funny, man. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
My dad absolutely loved that movie.
It's a ridiculous, over-the-top
is so-
gangster who is in witness protection,
Mm.
and Rick Moranis is like the agent that's in charge of like protecting.
Handle-
him.
yeah, it's just like
FBI
his
agent?
Yeah.
Dude, that sounds great.
Yeah.
I definitely would have
It
seen it,
is.
but it
It's
does
funny.
not ring in a bell for some reason.
That is,
very
maybe a little
funny.
too close with Roxanne, but
Yeah, whatever.
Maybe.
we tend to cluster things.
We do.
We do. It's 6 degrees, baby.
Yeah, we definitely have that.
All right. So did you finish your damn nugget, dude? So can I go?
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
can
Like
move
Rick
on and
Moranis. Go
finish
fuck
this?
yourself.
All right.
What's your nugget?
Fuck you. My nugget is fuck you. The military base where they're holding the fuck you Stargate is the same one that they used in War Games.
Oh, there you go.
Love that, dude. That's a
That
proper
that
nerdy
does
nug.
look familiar.
right?
I thought that scene looked familiar. I love that there's like a random truck just like smoking, like steaming on the edge of the shot. It's like, oh, okay, military truck broke down. Cool,
Totally.
man.
Totally, man. Yeah, so that was cool. What, Ben? What do you got, Ben?
I'm dangerously. I am. I'm bringing us back to bits and bobs territory. But
Do
like,
it.
Whatever, go ahead.
when they're firing up the gate and there's all these bleep bloops in the room and shit, like there's this
Yeah,
one
totally.
little bit where like as they're going through the gate, it's showing like a human, like a
Oh
a
yeah.
human form, as in like it looks like the male symbol for the bathroom, like
Mm-hmm.
sort of like granulating down into nothing. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Chrissy Snaps is like, what the fuck is that measuring? I was like, I don't know.
It was kind of inner space-ish. Yeah, totally, dude. Totally.
Yeah,
It's
it was,
mailing.
it was like, the room was just filled with like silly bleep bloops like that.
So
where you're just
silly.
like,
you,
what the
dude, there's nothing like a
Yeah.
pointless bleep loop that measures like, how much of a male the Stargate
blooposity.
Yeah, so
Right?
they like focus on it for a second, like as like Kurt Willis is going through the gate or whatever, and it's like it shows like the little dude, like men's room dude, just like kind of like dissolve into nothing.
Yeah,
You're like,
de-atomizing.
okay,
Oh, all
so
right.
The men's room guy. I love it.
Dude, can we,
yeah,
while we're
exactly.
nuggety bobbing on that, can we nuggety bob on the fucking dude with the pencil in his mouth? I love that dude's use of pencil in that
Oh,
scene.
God.
He's just like, yeah,
wait.
bleepity bloopity, bing bong, eh. And then he's like, the Stargate opens and the pencil drops on the desk, and everyone's like, oh, we've never got this far.
Bleepity bloopity bing bong, yeah.
I mean, that's what he said.
That down.
And then he said, give me 50 cc's.
50 cc's of Henry Rollins.
Ding bong, ding dong.
Dude, it was the best.
Holy shit.
Oh, dude, the name of this episode is going to be Stargate. Blippity bloopity bing bong, yeah. I love that so much. So, Chad,
right.
that guy was also the guy. He's been in a lot of movies. If I'm thinking about the same guy that you're thinking of, he must have said, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" That guy,
I think
said
so, right?
Cartouche. He said cartouche way too many times in the beginning of that movie. He must have said cartouche about 500 times.
I want to coin the cartouche bag phrase.
Oh, man, that's good, dude.
I want to drop that sometime. I'm going to drop that sometime in the future.
Cartouche bag. Wow, we got a lot. This episode, we mined a lot of shit out of it. I'll tell you what. The cartouche bag. Fuck yeah, Egypt. Egypt, fuck yeah. Santa Poco, fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Bunny Way?
You guys missed it when you said that earlier. Maybe you didn't miss it and it wasn't funny, but you guys were talking about the Bunny Way, and I started singing the Banana Way song. Neither of you acknowledged it.
See?
I heard it, and I tried to not
go there.
encourage.
He was trying to not
Do not engage.
actively not responding.
I was trying not to go there.
Yeah, you don't want that dead horse beaten again?
I mean, fuck it. Let's just do it. Banana Way.
Thank you, Benny.
Banana
Thank you.
Way. Na, na, na.
That wasn't that hard.
Nice job. It wasn't
So what
bad.
is he looked like fucking
It hurt.
alien
Deep
alien
inside.
acid cipher dude from Hackers. What was that dude's hacker name? Grease Pirate or whatever?
Venom Sneer.
You talking about Fisher Stevens?
Yeah, Fisher Stevens. Because isn't it Fisher Stevens in like Independence Day or some shit? He looked like he was the Fisher Stevens character, the pencil guy.
Fisher Stevens terribly played the Indian scientist in
Short Circuit, yeah.
Short Circuit.
Ah.
Yeah, opposite Steve Gutenberg.
Yes.
It's the weirdest choice ever. That was actually
Johnny number 5.
watching that stupid bomb robot going through the Stargate. I was like, we should watch Short Circuit. It got some very, very Johnny Five vibes from that moment.
Definitely. We were just talking about that the other day.
Yeah, his portrayal of an Indian is almost as bad as Soul Man, dude, with C. Thomas.
It's pretty
Howell.
bad.
It's pretty fucking bad.
Pretty abysmal, man.
So what's the guy? What's the pencil guy? Kev?
Johnny number 5.
Who is he?
Yeah, you were saying like he's in some shit. What was he in?
No, Richard Kind.
Oh, Richard Kind.
Yeah, dude, Richard Kind. He's been in freaking everything, man. Argo, Inside Out, like
him.
Yeah,
dude, I love
that
him.
guy. I do, but he's the cartouche guy.
I shout out to that scene too, where like this translation's all wrong. Who fucking did this?
Yeah, totally,
I did.
dude. We were
Yeah.
just talking. I was like, we were trying to figure out where we knew him from. I was like, oh, he was in. We had seen him recently, and he was in. He did a bunch of seasons of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, and he's tons of voice work, animation, sitcom work. Yeah, a lot of it. All that.
Dude's in everything.
I remember
Totally.
from Argo
It's
for
all
sure,
over
but
the place.
yeah, it would be Curbs
Yeah.
for sure. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, he's great. I probably really know him from this, to be fair, but
All right, deaths.
there was one in
tell
there, wasn't
really
there? I can't remember.
Driving hard towards the end. Yeah, I had a Forrest Gump.
Oh,
death.
you
That was the only
fucking
one.
died like a motherfucker on not remembering Forrest Gump played
On-
ping pong, dude. That was pretty lame.
I know that was bad, bro.
Ooh, ouch. Yeah.
Like, come on, dude.
Ooh.
Considering how many times I've seen that movie,
Ooh.
doubly
Come
bad.
the fuck on, man.
Haba
By the
haba
way,
haba.
I love the idea of making a movie.
Yeah,
Ancient alien ping pong tournament.
with Forrest Gump.
I think it's
Yeah,
great.
dude. Yep,
Right?
I'm so into it.
Gold, baby. Hey, did you like how I put the Mortal Kombat scream in between every chapter marker?
I did. Thank you.
That was nice, right?
Mortal Kombat.
Totally, dude.
Have you been listening to the shows at all, Benny, when you were away?
I religiously don't listen to the show because I fucking hate the sound of my voice.
That's all right. Well, you weren't on them if it was a twofer,
I get
to be
it.
fair, but that's fair.
That's true. That's true.
All right, Chad, would you recommend this movie?
The problem is I hate the sound of your voice too.
Oh my God! Wow.
I'm kidding.
That's funny. That was good.
That's good.
Very,
That's a
very
zinger.
good. That was good. Zing.
Yeah, I would totally recommend this movie, man. Like, I mean, it's a bit Schlocktoberfest. Like, it holds up, I think, despite the fact that we've gone ad nauseum about how the effects aren't very good, the plot's thin, the dialogue isn't that great, the whole thing isn't that great of a movie. It's a popcorn movie, but like for whatever reason, I still have a lot of love for it. Like, it's, I don't know, it's just
this is
enjoyable
a movie. Maybe you'll be able to understand my whole sort of Waterworld stance with this movie, because I think like with this movie, like
let's go. Let's talk about Waterworld for a while, right, Benny?
Hold on. What I'm trying to say is that the concept is so strong in this movie is that that's a huge part of why it holds. The other part of it too that's unrelated to that, and that's what I was always saying about Waterworld. You know what I mean? It's like,
and
I
you're
always
right,
loved
dude. I
the
enjoyed
concept, and I was, but to be fair to that whole thing and that whole debate and argument, like, we watched the Ulysses cut, which I didn't even know existed until we did it, and that was much better than the original, for sure.
No, I watched the original.
As well? You did?
No, I didn't watch the Ulysses cut intentionally, and then I went back and just watched those scenes after watching it. We talked about it, but yeah.
Oh, I got you. That's right. Okay.
But I think you're right. I think it's a reasonable comparison in terms of it being like the memory of it is different, but it's still solid. Like, yeah.
Well, it is solid, and especially for like a Dean Devlin thing, you know, like, and I mean, honestly, man, this movie holds better than
I thought so.
Better movies from that era. Like, I've watched movies from that era that were like more serious and quote unquote better movies that did not hold up as well as this. I thought this held up fine, because it's just a simple story. You know what I mean? That's probably what it is.
Mm.
I'm not sure that I would agree with that sentiment, and I'm not sure that it holds up all that great. I feel like there are newer movies with similar concepts that handle things better, perhaps. I don't know. Needless to say, I did end up sort of enjoying it on this watch, even if I was sort of eviscerating it a bit and having a laugh. Yeah, fuck it. Watch it.
Fuck it, dude.
Yeah, definitely watch it.
Let's go bowling.
It's good. Let's go bowling. Let's do it. Okay, Lab, what are we doing next week?
In honor of the stupid robot going through the Stargate, I think we should do Short Circuit. And to,
awesome.
See Fisher Stevens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's totally appropriate.
Yeah. Can't wait to make fun of that.
Throw it in there with the pantheon of bizarre portrayals.
White Chicks and the other one that we talked about recently.
Like
Soul Man.
White Chicks and Soul Man.
Fucking Joel Grey playing Chun and...
Oh, yeah, yep. In the log hugging movie, yep.
The log hugging movie. Remo Williams.
Have we done a Gutenberg yet?
No, we did Police Academy.
Oh, we did.
Yep,
Yep.
That's right. Well, there you have it, folks. Next week, we're going to do Short Circuit. Thanks for joining us for Stargate, and we'll see you on another time. Bye.
See ya.
Later.
And that is going to wrap up this week's episode. Finally, if you would like to check out the show notes for this week's episode, you can do so in your podcast app of choice or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/260. I'd like to thank everybody quickly. Thank everybody for supporting us low these many years. We really, really appreciate it. From the Patreon support to the reviews to telling folks to check out the show. It really helps us grow the show. So thank you all. And if you're new and you'd like to support the show, you can do so via Patreon directly if you'd like. You can also support us by leaving us a review on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also tell people to check out the show. Word of mouth is very powerful. So that's it. If you'd like to join us on social, Instagram is where we lurk. We use the handle at EBD Podcast. So check us out there. Thanks for joining us for Stargate. We'll see you next week for... Really struggling here. Beetlebusters. Short Circuit. Yeah, we'll see you next week. We'll see you next week for Short Circuit. So long for now, folks.
Cartouche bag.